Alright, and welcome back to my tricycle lesson. Today we are going to be doing some testing with our Sunseeker tricycle that you see in upper left hand corner. We are going to be testing 3 different tires to see which one is the most appropriate for us. Those tires that we are going to be testing is the stock tire that came with the bike, and here's a picture of that tire in the upper left hand corner. This is the stock tire that came with the bike. I'm going to be also showing you some information on these tires as well. The second tire is our crossover tire that you see here. And I'll also talk about more and give you information about that. And the third tire this is the most extreme tire out of the 3. It's made by the company VEE. And it's the biggest, the most heaviest tire out of the 3. I do have to say that the stock tire was the hardest to test on because of it came with the bike when I got it and the tire was wore out, so I felt that it was quite unfair for me to try to give it a good fair test. But however, I still found that even in its current state, I found that it still had a lot of drag and problems with it to be efficient. I find with the tires that have the low air pressure for the maximum, tends to have the most drag with them, regardless of what type of tire that they are. As you see here, this is some of the information on that tire. In my personal opinion, with those people that have disabilities that try to use these types of tires, even though that they're not expensive, they cause issues for us because for our lack of muscle and endurance with the bike, it causes us to have drag, us not to enjoy our bike ride and not to want to ride. So therefore, I think that's why it's so important to match up the right type of tire that can do the job with the right type of rider that can power that tire and have a good, enjoyable ride. Like with this crossover tire, it doesn't give us so much grip and drag on the road, but it gives us just enough to meet our needs for most off-road obstacles. It allows us to use the muscle that we have to our advantage versus having a bigger tire that we can't use. Finally, we go on to our last tire that I thought would give us the most benefit because of its size and grip. Unfortunately, because of that reason, that's the reason why we cannot use this tire efficiently, because of its weight, its size, and its grip, because it did not work with our weaknesses. It actually made our weaknesses worse because it required more muscle to use it because of the maximum traction and the weight it had. It was almost like if you took a stock vehicle with 20-inch tires and then with that same vehicle stick 35-inch tires and then took it off-road, and then discovering that vehicle did a lot worse than as if you left the 20-inch tires on it. That's why I encourage all people of all ages and body types to go out and test different parts on their bikes to see what combination works for them and works with their disabilities versus works against them. Even without disabilities, you're always going to come across bikes that seem like they work against you, not quite at the par. That's why I encourage everyone to modify the bike for you and not you to the bike. So, and that goes with any bike part: tires, rims, hubs, chains, gearing, any part of the bike that can come off and be changed. If it's not working the right way that you want it to, I encourage everyone to buy something new or something better to put on your bike, to do those modifications to that bike so the bike can give you confidence or your own abilities that you can do, and then take the bike into different situations where you wouldn't normally take that bike, and then successfully overcome those challenges that you go through with the bike. And in turn, you'll get more confidence with the bike in yourself to go more places. Now, I believe with that confidence that was built into your normal life, and give you confidence and encouragement to do other things that you wouldn't normally do with your life choices otherwise, and make you a better person and a kind of person that you want to be in the future. But here I am, I'm rambling on, but I do so because of biking gave me the confidence and the encouragement to do things I wouldn't normally do personally. So that's why I want to make these videos, to give you that information that I never received earlier on. But again, like I said, I'm rambling on here, but for a good purpose, I believe. And to talk about my situations, my challenges that I have in my life, and maybe that will give you encouragement to overcome the challenges that you have. So I apologize for that a little bit of rambling, but let's get back to the reason why we are on this video right now with these 3 tires that we've been testing. The stock tire, like I said before, it did have a lot of wear and tear on it, but it had enough knobbies for me to kind of understand if it was a good tire or not. Because of the tire's drag and road noise and everything else it had, I did not feel that this was a appropriate tire for me. And 2, because like I said before, usually of the tire's PSI, which this had 20 PSI, for most tires that only have this kind of PSI, I find that most of these tires that do have just 20 PSI max, I find that they're kind of sluggish, and the response with them isn't so great. And I know the idea of 20 PSI tires, that when you do run over things, they kind of mold themselves over the obstacle, and in theory that they should give you more of a cushion ride, but in reality the PSI max also creates a type of friction too. So that's why I steer more towards tires that have 35 PSI or 36 PSI, but that's just my opinion on tires that only have 20 PSI max. That said though, the one good thing about what this tire has going for it is the strength of it is at 60 TPI. So that has that going for it. Moving on to our next tire, you would think by now that this is the tire that I choose to run on my off-road Sunseeker. And yes, you would be right about that, because this tire, like I said before, gives us like a mid-range traction and ability, and it also gives us the choices that we need to make when we have to choose on the terrains and how to get out of certain situations that we have to do. by example, this tire does allow me to purposely lose traction to spin the tire over soft sand to keep the bike in motion until I get out of that soft sand spot. And also, this tire also provides a good, decent ride on road that has very little road noise and vibration and resistance as well. And lastly, this tire has a strength rating at 60 TPI, and it also has a maximum of 35 PSI as well. And lastly, we go on to our most expensive tire and biggest tire that we have to date, and that is our V tire. This tire, like I said before, the problems I had with it were it was a bigger diameter of tire. To fit it on our Sunseeker, I had to take off the fender. That will give you an idea on how big that this tire around really is. Like I said before, I did not realize how big it was or how much heavier it was until I got it onto the bike and started to test on it. I found that it actually hindered my riding, my riding style by, for example, when I was trying to go across the soft sand, the tire, I wasn't able to make the traction brake and keep the tire spinning on top of the dirt or sand. So instead, it just wanted to bog down into this soft sand and stop me from going forward. And not only that, but I was straining my muscles the whole time. And by the time I got home, my muscles were very sore for at least 2 days after the ride. And lastly, this tire has the strength of 30 TPI and the maximum tire pressure of 36 PSI. So this tire overall was not good for a rider like me. With that said, with a more stronger rider, I think can benefit most with this type of tire. If you enjoyed this video and want to see possibly more like it, please comment down below. And until the next time, don't forget your water bottle, your helmet, and be safe. And bye for now.